In this video, we're going to talk about the real estate market in the Philippines. Is it in crisis mode, correction mode? It's happening primarily in metropolitan Manila. Number of factors. I'll get into some of that. And I'm going to show you a couple of charts here, give you a little bit of an idea. Land prices have risen fairly rapidly. I've been here almost 10 years, 9.5 years, and I've watched the prices rise in Cebu City and other cities in the Philippines. Here's a chart from the main Banco Central ng Pilipinas and launched a residential real estate price index. And this is based on bank loans for purchasing property. So it does not include the huge number of cash purchases that are made, which would throw this chart off, would be a completely different chart. And nobody knows what it is. There's lack of transparency, and there's an attempt to bring more transparency into the market, but it's not there yet. Anyway, we'll look at another. That was residential real estate. This is property versus GDP growth. The blue line is property prices. There again, I think in metropolitan Manila that have risen, and they're not real current numbers, but what's happened since I've been here. Before I came here 2015, prices were rising, the demand was there, developers were building, selling, pre-selling, and having quite a bit of success at that. Then came 2020. The government lockdowns around the world, travel lockdowns, millions of people left the Philippines, and we're still in recovery mode. But more buildings has opened up, many more, tens of thousands of more units are opened up. I'm going to talk about a few issues here, and I'm going to touch on the 50-year rule of condos and the 40-60, 60-40 rule on ownership, Filipino versus foreign ownership, number of other issues. I have done a deep dive on my membership site, and I'm not going to get into all those details. If you're interested in getting into more of the details and the factors affecting this market in Manila and other cities, you can subscribe. There's two levels, and I think $9.99 for the top level. You get a couple extra videos that focus on different things, risks in the Philippines, medical and dental here in the Philippines issues, the real estate market, and as well as other topics reserved for members as well. Anyway, check that out. So anyway, this is in all the news. The mainstream media news are interviewing property developers, real estate agents, and many of them talking, oh, this is the best time to buy because prices are dropping for sales and rentals substantially. And there are several top property managers, real estate company people who have stated that, yes, rents have dropped over 50%. One of the major factors is that POGOS, Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators, have been forced to shut down and leave the country. There's still a lot of illegal POGOS in the Philippines, no doubt, but they have been caught. Not just China. Let me give you a little history. China outlaws gambling, I think, and therefore the Philippines encouraged POGOs to come here, Chinese companies to set up and offer gaming and other things to the Chinese people. So hundreds of thousands of Chinese came here, opened up those types of things. At its peak, I have read that up to 300,000 people were involved in POGOs here, directly involved, and then you have those that are indirectly involved that are affected by it. All the POGOs needing to shut down. Probably 200,000 Chinese and other foreigners, as well as 100,000 Filipinos involved in it. And that is a huge city in and of itself. So when they leave, I know a condo tower, one of 4 condo towers in Mactan, where I dated a girl just a couple times, and she had worked there, and she said one whole tower was all POGOS. So 25% of those condo development was POGOS, and they had to shut down. They've also been found renting out large percentages of subdivisions, um, resorts, hotels, and that sort of thing as well. And I think a lot of the legal ones shut down. The many were deported or left or downgraded their visas. They come here on tourist visas. They end up working in these POGOs, which is illegal. Another factor is that you'll find in 2024 they were expecting about 2 million Chinese tourists and only received about 200,000. So over 1.5 million less. And my opinion is that many of those were involved in the POGOs uh, illegally, probably. They come on a tourist visa, and yeah, they're not coming now. So it has had a big effect on the tourist industry, or the number of tourists coming into the country. The big lack. I think they were hoping to get 7.7 million, and they're, I think, under 6 million, 5 point something million tourists in 2024, for instance. I am surprised. I'm down here in Cebu City. I asked a question of an architect back in 2015, almost, 9 years ago. Are they overbuilding in Cebu City? And he said, that is a discussion we're having. I saw the new developments going up. But the demand was there until 2020. The demand seemed to be there, but now you've got a number of issues. So I'm going to bring up real briefly a couple of those. There again, the deeper dive on my membership site. Interest rates have risen, as you all know. Now the rest of this video, I'm just going to do a walk and talk. This is downtown Cebu City area, and so you can watch and listen if you like. Anyway, so you have interest rates. That's a factor around the world. So interest rates banks are more reluctant to loan for a number of reasons. Titles often are an issue. They're not clean titles. Even if they look clean, they might not be clean. You might JRC at JRC Visa Consultancy. He's also a real estate broker. Has a lawyer on site. I've done many interviews with him. If you need help with property, checking all the documents, that sort of thing, you might check in with JRC. I've got in the first comment of every video, down in the pinned comment, click more information, and his Facebook and website are listed under there. I think the most major factor is that these governments, Philippine included, decided to self-destruct. 2020, March 2020, they shut down all travel. Millions of foreigners went back to their home countries. They were filling up so much of this space, and so these governments pretty much self-destructed. The Philippines is still in recovery mode, and I've seen different figures. It might take till 2028 or longer to do that. When people's lives are disrupted, their life changes. They find other things to do, ways to spend their money, and perhaps they bought property in other countries. I know a couple people who own condos here, but they decided, no, we're going to invest in Mexico. And they're living there, even though they own a condo here. So people find other places to put their money. Same thing with online shopping. These stores and malls. People learn to shop online during the almost 2 years of lockdowns, and therefore a lot of these stores, people learned a different way to spend their money to fill their needs, and shopping online instead of in many of the stores now. Overseas Filipino workers are a big factor. They send remittances. They send money that they make overseas up to over $30 billion. Not talking pesos, dollars every year. And they send it to their family or they invest it in real estate. A lot of these big developers send real estate agents over into the various countries, San Francisco, New York, the Middle East, Korea, Japan, where these people work, Singapore, to promote their projects and sell them to OFWs. That's one of the reasons why so many of these units might just sit vacant. They're they, they are in the process of being bought up by OFWs who are keeping them for an investment or to move into, retire to at some point in time. One of the best ways to give you an idea the overall cost of a project is to figure the cost per square meter or cost per square foot, however you want to do it. Everything is metric here. Cost per square meter. And for instance, whether you're renting, I'm renting 25,000 per month, 42 square meters, one bedroom, and that comes out to 595 pesos per square meter. So that's an idea. If you're up closer to 1,000 pesos per square meter, depends on if you've got the money and the budget, go for it. Get there are expats. They're foreigners who want all the conveniences and they can afford for various reasons. They've got the money, they've got the budget. But if you're like the big majority of us, we're on a fixed pension, and we can live comfortably, but we need to watch our budget. Use the price per square meter. If you're paying if you're paying 25,000, which a lot of these people in studios, for 22 square meters versus 42 square meters that I have, 22 square meters, same price, you're almost twice the cost per square meter. You're a little over 1,100 pesos per square meter. So think about that. Location is a big factor in amenities and that type of thing. Who the builder is, the quality, the types of furnishings. Are you getting internet and cable TV with that price? Those things all are factored in as well. Generally electric and water. Your utilities are extra, and you need to ask. You always need to ask: are condo dues included in the rental price? Some are inclusive, some are exclusive. You have to pay that, and if it's 22 square meters at 100 pesos per square meter, that's an extra 2,200 per month to pay the condo dues. I'm a little bit surprised that there are many people here in Cebu City and other cities that have read the news about Manila, and they're wondering if it's going to affect these other cities as well. I have read that developers and renters are some, not all, are discounting their prices here in Cebu City, and I think I read that in Bacolod City as well. I think there's going to be more people trying to sell, get out before this correction and or crisis, whatever you want to call it, hits these other areas. So it might be a buyer's market. Others are saying no, wait another 6 months, a year, 2 years, because this isn't it's not going to turn around that quickly. I don't know. When I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, USA, in 84, I think 84, 85, married at the time, me and my wife were looking at townhouses, and they had overbuilt just big time, partly because of some government incentives. And great government incentives are great until they really screw up the market, supply and demand market. And you could buy one and get one free. You could buy one at a big discount and get one free. I exaggerate, of course, but yeah, they were almost giving away townhouses, and I should have bought in. I should have bought in. I probably could have got a loan at that point in time, but I didn't. The big housing crisis in the U.S. that had effect in many parts of the world. You know, when the U.S. has the flu, the rest of the world gets a cold at least or more, something like that, if I got that right. And spread. But yeah, a friend of mine bought I think a 600, a little over 600 square meter condominium for 25,000. It had been going for 60,000. Bought it for 20,000 U.S. And just I think about 2 years ago he sold it for 120,000. So yeah, if you can buy low, people say real estate always goes up. Well, it has its dips. If you can time the low, if you want to buy, people will. There will be comments in all my real estate videos. Don't buy anything in the Philippines or Thailand or any other foreign country. The risks are too high. But the fact of the matter is, thousands of people are going to buy. Thousands or hundreds of people are going to build. They're going to build something for their girlfriend, their wife. So yeah, you can say, don't do that all you want. There are people who want to do it. I got a friend now. He's got one condo here. He wants to buy another one. And in fact, I just did a video about a relatively decent price unit. He's got the cash money, and I think he's going to buy it. Now, this is a discussion in a lot of comments, different forums as well. Is that well, Filipinos won't negotiate. They would rather have their condo sit empty than rent it out, try to negotiate a lower rental price. And there are those types, of course, not just here but around the world. They've got the money, they can sit on that empty unit. And yeah, there was a couple units before the pandemic I was going to rent out, but I felt the price was a little bit too high for what it was, and in both cases, the Filipino worked overseas. They're probably making decent money in the U.S., and they said, no, not going to negotiate. Take it or leave it the way it is. And so I left it. I walked away and found something else. The place that I'm renting now, 25,000, before the pandemic was renting for 35,000. And because of the demand and the nice view and everything, they were actually keeping it fairly well occupied, from what I've heard. But she was, yeah, this was 20, I don't know, when did we move here? It's going to be about 3 years that we've been here. So about 2021, something like that, when they finally opened up a little bit, where you could move around without a pass and everything. But she had lowered the price. She understood the crisis that was created by the government lockdowns, the pandemic, and she and the owner again lives in the U.S. She is an auntie or something, I think, and they lowered the price. And each year I've told them, yeah, if you keep the price the same, I'll stay here. But we're happy with her, and she's happy with us. I take care of a lot of the little stuff. I'm not calling her when some little thing happens. I take care of it. Unlike she's got a couple other units, and she says, yeah, some of these people, every little thing they call me, and I have to try to get off work or hire somebody to come and take a look at it. It might be something real simple. Now let me get into the 60-40 rule for condominiums. Does not apply. I don't think it applies to like subdivisions, a house in a subdivision. Pretty sure just condominiums, and that rule basically states that 60% of the units need to be owned by Filipinos, and 40% can be owned by foreigners. There again puts a little bit of limit on foreign ownership. What a lot of foreigners do, they put it in their wife's name and or their if that becomes an issue, they put it in their wife or their girlfriend's name, and then if the relationship goes sour, the girlfriend says, "Thank you for the condo, buddy." Anyway, that's one way, and I'm not sure how closely they really monitor that. So that's 60/40. Similar to many businesses, there are certain types of businesses, BPO, call centers, in the Philippines that can be 100% owned by foreigners, and I've met a number of foreigners who own their call centers here, run their business back in their country from the Philippines. Their call and their marketing centers here. So that is the 60/40 rule. And now let me get into the 50-year rule for condominiums, without getting into all the legalese and exceptions and that type of thing. 50-year rule basically says when the condominium is 50 years old, and I've heard somebody say up to 25, it can be renewed up to 25 or up to 75 years. But anyway, 50-year, the majority now it's the simple majority. It used to have to be I think a larger percentage of the people, I don't know what the percentage was, can vote and decide what to do with the building. Remodel it, tear it down and build something else. Maybe that is a good financial decision. Maybe they can sell the property and the units, and then each property owner would get whatever the proceeds they would get. They would get that payback, apparently. So yeah, there's a vote at 50 years basically to decide what you want to do with the condominium. Now, I am not a real estate broker, agent, salesperson, not involved at all. I take videos, and I became interested in the real estate industry when I came here, and these salespeople in the malls would grab me and say, "Come and take a look at my condominium right now." And I always had a camera with me, and I would take a video, put it up. A lot of interest in the condos, what they look like, what do they cost, rent, for sale. And that's kind of how I built my channel, almost accidentally. I wish I could say, yeah, I planned it that way. But anyway, Metro department store over there downtown, Novo over there. That's Cologne Street going left and right, and I'm walking up Osmeña Boulevard, goes up to the uptown area. And not a lot of new properties downtown. A lot of old hotels, commercial buildings, older malls, that type of thing. Different culture down here. I kind of enjoy the culture down here. Maybe in 10, 15, 20 years it will change to, maybe they will, who knows what'll happen. They're right on the sea. They don't really have a boardwalk here. Mandani Bay Condos over in Mandawi is building a bit of a boardwalk along the sea, Mactan Channel, between Mactan Island and a couple of military guys here. I in the last few months, our high season, our holiday season, I've seen more of these guys out on the street. And I've always wondered, is this a permanent thing? They don't know. They aren't told. But probably a temporary until the high season is over. But yeah, I've seen a lot more that type of thing. If you're not used to seeing that in your home country, that and armed security guards at many of the stores, that was an interesting thing when I first came to the Philippines. Anyway, the Philippines is in its high season. November, December, January, February, March, not so much April. May is our hottest month. But people from the cold climates take their vacations, come here. We've got the huge Sinulog Festival here in Cebu City, just got over. January, and other cities are having festivals, so it's a bit of the high season, just like in Thailand, but it's interesting. Thailand, their high season right now, very smoggy because the different farmers burn off a lot of their crops. So I saw a video in Bangkok the other day, and it happens in many cities in Thailand. Yeah, very very heavy smoky smog rolls in and stays there. But yeah, I think if you've got the time, it is a renter's market, a buyer's market. You're not, because of what happens when people are speculating, when prices are rising. People speculate, they buy in because it's going to go up, and I can resell it, I can flip it later. Well, that's not happening now, and I think some sellers will hold on to their properties. They can. You can find motivated, and you need some chickens. You can find motivated sellers foreigners who are tired of the Philippines, want to get rid of their property, want to move it to a different part of the Philippines, for instance. If you're still with me here at about 25, 26 minutes, it really helps to get the thumbs up or even thumbs down. They both count, actually. And comments always help. Sharing helps as well with the algorithms, helps promote the channel. So appreciate any of that type of thing. I've got a PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee listed in the first pinned comment of videos if you want to support the channel. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I've taken interest in the real estate market here, and I know several real estate agents. I've done dozens and dozens of videos of properties. I have a little bit of an idea of the quality and the costs and the owners and the property management situations in the different areas. I met a number of subscribers, others who live in these places, who tell me about their experiences. My opinion is that yes, that correction that is already majorly underway in metropolitan Manila, some areas much more than others, but they've got like more than a 3 year supply, probably. I heard a discussion with one top real estate guy here the other day. I forget which one of the large companies that said, "Well, that isn't even including the informal market, the secondary market. I mean, the secondary market, which is owners reselling. That's just what the developers are trying to sell at 36 months. So it might, and that's 3 years. He said it might be 6 years supply. It might take 6 years to sell all this stuff. And in the meantime, there are other projects, even though they may have slowed them down. There are other projects opening up. So interesting situation. Good for I think it is a buyers and renters market. Will be more so months down the road as we go into the slower season and in future years as well. Depends on what will happen with the tourist industry. There is competition. There's competition among the various countries of the world for tourists. And during the lockdowns, I had a number of subscribers. They went to various countries in Central America, South America, Europe, perhaps. I can't remember all of them that were open, and they've told me they really enjoyed their trip there. Place that they would not have gone if the Philippines. They would have come to the Philippines if the Philippines was open. So if the Philippines has lost, I don't know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of tourists because they locked down while other countries stayed open. We'll have to wait and see. Lots of jeepneys still. They've been switching over to more modern buses, but still a lot of jeepneys out there. They've gotten a lot of the really bad polluting jeepneys off, but occasionally I'll see one belching a lot of black smoke out there, stacks. The Philippines, partly because of their issues, the POGOS, the Philippine Offshore Gaming Organizations, the Chinese organizations, and those associated with it, were caught with doing many illegal prostitution, gambling, not gambling, loan sharking, drugs, and all sorts of other things. So they were getting a bad name for themselves. So they're trying to get a better control on who's coming in and staying in the country. That So there is a lot of competition. The another thing, the tourist department, their budget was cut from I forget. I'm thinking um, from 2 million. I don't know. It was cut by more than half. I think cut like 60%. So they're spending less. If you make it more difficult to come and visit your country, more hoops to jump through, and other countries make it much easier, that's going to affect a lot of people, their decisions, where they're going to spend their money. I understand the Philippines viewpoint, and yet it still is. It still is for almost everybody. Very easy to come into the country, stay up to 3 years on a tourist visa by renewing every 2 months. There are other visas available as well. So yeah, Philippines has a lot to offer. People are friendly. A lot of them speak English, understand English, so that really helps. Most signs are in English. Legal documents are in English. Yeah, they're friendly. They're tolerant. They speak English, and they're welcoming for the most part, as long as you're not a sleazeball. I hope I didn't. I am pretty sure I did not offend any of my viewers because I don't attract those kind of people. Sleazeballs. I've been very fortunate over the years. I've seen so many channels over the last 9 years. They get in all that drama, one way or another. They get in the drama, and they got the trolls, and hard to keep control. And maybe I'll hook a couple of them with these last comments. Usually a troll won't watch a video this long. But I will admit, I have on a very rare occasion blocked somebody. And I had one guy, he claimed he was Filipino, probably was, but boy, he made comments for over, I think, at least 3 years. I tolerated him. And quite often, and more often towards the end, he was making more and more racist type comments against Caucasians. And anyway, I don't know what he said, but one day he said something. You wake up every day, and some days are good days, some days you just want to go out and look for a fight. Anyway, I was not in a particularly good mood that particular morning, and then he had some stupid comment attacking somebody, white people or something, and I finally did it. I had a guy years ago really attack me. I know who you are and all your Chinese friends back in Canada, and you know, so I shut him down. Haven't heard anything again from him. Anyway, stay safe, enjoy life, stay healthy, and we'll see you all in the next video, maybe here in Cebu City.